Welcome to Dan's Experience Podcast from Cubicle to Cashflow, the podcast where discipline meets opportunity and action builds freedom. I am Dan Protas. I left the corporate cubicle to build a life I love through real estate and disciplined execution. Each week, we unpack mindsets, systems, and step-by-step plays to move you closer to freedom, one door at a time. If you're ready to trade comfort for progress, you are in the right place. Let's get to work. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Dan's Experience from Cubicle to Cashflow podcast. This podcast is where discipline meets opportunity and action builds freedom. I'm your host, Dan Protas. After leaving the corporate world behind, I set out to build financial freedom through real estate, investing, and disciplined action. Each week, I'll share real stories, lessons learned, and practical steps to help you create the life you deserve. Let's dive in. So, today, I want to talk about why discipline beats motivation. These are some of the important lessons I've learned on my journey that motivation will not save you, discipline will. And I worked to improve my discipline periodically in, I would say, last year or so, consistently with very small tasks. But I'll get into that in a moment. But essentially, the way you look at motivation is that motivation is like a spark. It feels exciting in a moment, but spark dies out quickly. Discipline, on the other hand, is the engine that keeps you moving forward even when you don't feel like it. That's what you call a system that basically will force you to do what you set out to do, but you don't feel like doing it. So that's what separates those who dream from those who actually build the life they want. There's common misconception or common myth about motivation. The myth is that if you stay motivated, you will succeed. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable. Motivation shows up when results are easy, when progress is visible, when things feel good. But what about when progress slows down? When obstacles pile up, where you just hit the roadblock, your motivation quickly fades. And usually at that time, people quit. And it's hard to get up and do what you need to do. So that's why discipline is more powerful. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It keeps consistent day after day, keeps you going, keeps you consistent so that you can get to your goal that you set out initially. Interestingly enough, when you look at the corporate structure and being your own business, is that when I worked at the financial institution, discipline was already built in. I had deadlines, I had a boss, I had a schedule. Corporate structure made sure that I showed up and get things done. But when I left corporate world, no one was there to enforce that structure. No one was checking my work. That's when I realized if I didn't build my own discipline, I would fail. It was on me. Thankfully, I also have a mentor that is able to guide me and provide me right paths or right directions that helps me take step by step and essentially set up the right goals, build the right habits that will get me to the goal I want. So specifically looking at the real estate example, this is this is where this is a decision where I made to underwrite deals on a daily basis. That's my habit. So this habit may be too hard for somebody to start off with if somebody has the same goal as I am. But to give you an example, how I build my consistency of a habit is something like tracking what you eat or meditating for 1 or 2 minutes a day in the morning, or could be just very something simple where you just write a journal, 1 sentence a day. Make it very easy for you to do and very hard for you to basically not fail. So definitely start small. And so going back to my example of underwriting deals daily, it's just so not just when I was doing that not when I just felt motivated, not just when I had shiny properties coming across my desk, but I did it every day. Some days I was tired, some days I was not in the mood, but nevertheless, discipline kept me consistent. And over time, those daily reps paid off. I got faster, sharper, and eventually I was able to spot the opportunities. That wasn't motivation, that was discipline. Small habits build and they compound into bigger ones. The same goes for my other business that I'm building is the property management company. Motivation might get you started. You get excited about the new business, but excitement doesn't get you through attending calls at midnight or coordinating contractors on a tight deadline. What keeps the company growing isn't motivation, it's discipline, creating processes, building systems for leasing, maintenance, and accounting, and showing up every day for unglamorous tasks to be done. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline builds a company that lasts. The paradox is that discipline feels restrictive in the moment, but it creates freedom in the long run. Every underwriting session, every management process I built, every consistent action was a brick in the foundation of the life I'm building now. Brick by brick, discipline built my freedom. It sounds hard and tough when you don't have regular income coming in the beginning. But if you want that freedom, this is how you start. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, said, goals are good for setting direction, but systems are best for making progress. Motivation might get you started, but discipline, the daily systems, and habits is what takes you across the finish line. That's how I moved from the cubicle to cash flow. So how do you build your habits? I sort of mentioned this already in the beginning, but there are 3 simple ways. Start small, very small. Make it impossible for you to fail, not to get that done. Focus on one habit you can stick with. Second, design your environment. Remove distractions. Set up cues that remind you to act. Whatever your habit is, make it visible. If you want to journal, keep that notebook so that you pass by that notebook in the kitchen, by your nightstand, by your bed. Whatever you walk most often, put that item there so you can see it. So it makes it very easy and obvious for you to pick up and do the habit you want to do. That way you build your consistency. And number 3, find accountability. A mentor, a partner, or even announcing your goals publicly keeps you on track. Let people know what your goals are. If you're part of the mastermind group or a meetup group, or you can tell your mother, father, husband, wife, whoever, make your goal public, and they will ask, what progress have you made about your goal? So that can hold you accountable. So just looking back, I can trace some of my biggest wins back to discipline. Brokers return my calls because I followed up consistently. My first deal came through daily underwriting. My property management company keeps growing because I created systems and stuck with them, even when it's not exciting. None of that came from waiting until I felt motivated. I just moved because of my systems that I set up to act. So, the takeaway or the challenge for my listeners: pick one action you'll do daily for next 30 days. It could be analyzing a deal, building one system for your business, or even journaling your progress. Whatever it may be, commit to it no matter what. Don't rely on motivation, rely on discipline. And after 30 days, look at how far you have come. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is an engine. If you want to transform your life, build discipline into your daily systems. Thank you for listening to episode 2 from Cubicle to Cashflow. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who needs to hear this message. And don't forget to subscribe to never miss an episode. Next time, I'll share the story of my very first real estate deal, the lessons, the mistakes, and the wins that shaped my journey. Until then, stay disciplined, stay focused, and keep building the life you deserve. Thanks for listening to Dan's Experience podcast from Cubicle to Cashflow. I am Dan Protas. If today helped, follow or subscribe, share it with a friend, and drop a quick review. It really helps the show grow. Remember, discipline meets opportunity and action builds freedom. Take one step today, then join me next episode.